Hello, this is Jyotirmoyshil. We shall be looking into the concepts of sublime and beautiful from a very critical angle. Beauty. From a traditional point of view, beauty would refer to something that is perfect. It would refer to perfection, something that is well formed, well proportioned. If you look into the Oxford Dictionary, then you may find the meaning of sublime has been defined in this way. Sublime is something of very great excellence or beauty. So sublime is something that would exceed the very definition of beauty, something that would exceed beauty. If you call the music of Pandit Ravi Shankar as sublime, then you are saying that this is something that is more than beautiful. It is of great excellence or exalted. Merriam-Webster dictionary would say that the meaning of sublime is something lofty, grand, something that is exalted. But is sublime a form of beauty, or are these two things or these two concepts related at all? Let's see. These are the two significant critics who discussed on this topic. Edmund Burke, his book Philosophical Inquiry into the Origin of Our Ideas of the Sublime and the Beautiful, which was published in 1756, and Immanuel Kant's Critique of Judgement, 1790. Before going to Edmund Burke or Immanuel Kant, let's see some of other critics' opinions. The most important is Longinus and his On to the Sublime. Longinus defines the literary sublime as excellence in language, the expression of a great spirit, and the power to provoke ecstasy in one reader. So, Longinus defined literary sublime, something that is excellent, something that would which would contain the language which can be defined as exalted, which has the power to move us, which would inspire us, and which may provoke ecstasy. He defined or he specified 5 sources of sublimity. These are great thoughts, strong emotions, certain figures of thought and speech, noble diction, dignified word arrangement. According to Longinus, something that is sublime, it would generate great thoughts, and it would generate strong emotions, and it would contain certain figures of thoughts and speech. It would contain noble diction, something that would contain dignified word arrangement. We can take the example of Paradise Lost. You may find all of these qualities in Paradise Lost. Undoubtedly, the language in Paradise Lost is very dignified, is exalted. So we can take Paradise Lost, for example, to understand Longinus's concept of sublimity. Wordsworth in Tinton Abbey wrote a few lines. These are the lines from the poem Tinton Abbey. Now these lines refer to sublime. These lines refer to sublime. So let's read the lines from Tinton Abbey. Of aspects most sublime, that blessed mood, in which the burden of mystery, in which the heavy and weary weight of all this unintelligible world is lightened. So Wordsworth is defining sublime as the blessed mood. It would generate a mood which, when you may feel that you are blessed actually, it would generate the sense of mystery. It would seem something that is confusing, mysterious, vague, but still you may feel ecstasy. Samuel Taylor Coleridge wrote a few lines about Sublime. So, I meet, I find the beautiful, but I give, contribute, or rather attribute the sublime. Now, that line is very deep. I meet, I find the beautiful. So, beautiful is something that you can perceive through your senses. You can see something and you can say that is beautiful. But sublime is a feeling. It's something more deep, is deeper. The feeling is much more higher the than the pleasure that would generate when we perceive something beautiful. No object of sense is sublime in itself, but only as far as I make it symbol of some idea. So according to Coleridge, sublime is something that is not uh, exist on its own. Some concept, some feeling can become sublime when you attribute your own feelings and thought to it. The circle is a beautiful figure in itself. It becomes sublime when I contemplate eternity under that figure. So something is not readily sublime. You can perceive it. You need to attribute thoughts and your own feelings to it, and you need to experience it. Only then something would become sublime. So let's move on to Edmund Burke's A Philosophical Inquiry into the Origin of Our Ideas of the Sublime and the Beautiful. He defined beauty in this way. Traditionally, according to the traditional definition of beauty, beauty is something well formed, something that would refer to perfection. But according to Edmund Burke, when we perceive something beautiful, it simply pleases us. Something beautiful would just please us. That is the definition of beauty. It would evoke the feeling of love for the object perceived as beautiful. We can also say that it's not only love but also affection, a sort of affection towards the thing or the object or the aspect we perceive beautiful. You can see the picture of flower. If I say that these flowers are beautiful, then I am saying this only because it pleases us. It pleases me. These flowers please me some way. I find pleasure by saying it. I cannot say this is perfect. I cannot say it is well formed. That's why it is pleasing me. Not that. It is beautiful. I am saying it is beautiful because simply it generates some sort of pleasure within me. So Burke defined beauty in this way. By beauty I mean that quality or those qualities in bodies by which they cause love or some passion similar to it. According to Burke, if you see something and if you feel the pleasure by saying it, and you can feel a sort of affection or love for that object or aspect, so something that is beautiful, it would generate a sort of pleasure and affection for the thing perceived as beautiful. According to Burke, there are a few causes of beauty. First of all, he denied the fact that beauty is not necessarily related to the concept of perfection or balanced proportion or something like that. You can never say something, if something is well formed or perfect, it would be beautiful. Naturally, no. So beauty is not related to this this concept of proportion or perfection. This is something that is related to our feeling, that we can find pleasure by seeing something beautiful. We can feel the love or affection for the thing or the object or the aspect we perceive as beautiful. Now he specified a few causes of beauty, a few reasons behind beauty. But the problem is that he never exemplified these things, exemplified his points. According to him, qualities which reveal beauty include lightness, mildness, clearness, smoothness, gracefulness, gradual variation. But he didn't exemplify this. So I also would not try to exemplify this, because these concepts are quite complicated, and this is something that is questionable also, because according to him, according to Burke, something that is mild, something that is smooth, that would be beautiful necessarily. I don't feel in the same way. So that's why I am not going to exemplify this, but I am just portraying whatever Burke said. Sublime. According to Burke, if you perceive something sublime, that would evoke terror or astonishment and pain. It would generate terror and pain. And according to him, terror is the strongest of feeling. So if you perceive something beautiful, something sublime, it would generate a sense of awe or terror or astonishment within you, and also a sense of pain. According to Burke, whatever is fitted in any sort to excite the ideas of pain and danger, that is to say, whatever is in any sort terrible or is conversant about terrible objects or operates in a manner analogous to terror, is a source of sublime. That is, it is productive of the strongest emotion which the mind is capable of feeling. According to him, terror is the strongest of feeling, and something sublime, it would evoke terror. It's not that the person who is perceiving something sublime would be terrified or something would be afraid of it necessarily, but the sense of terror or astonishment, to be more particular, would be generated within him. Suppose you were seeing the theatrical presentation of Macbeth. When you feel, I am particularly referring to one scene which I feel that is sublime. That is when Macbeth is visualizing the dagger. I feel that the scene is very sublime, because it is something that would evoke a sort of pain and a sort of astonishment or sense of awe within us, within me at least, as an audience. Now this pain is not something that is obviously physical pain, that is a sort of emotion, a sort of strong emotion. Okay. Burke himself exemplified sublime. According to him, if you read Paradise Lost, if you read closely the description of hell and Saturn and death, you can perceive that the language and the presentation is very much sublime. So, okay, let's read the definition of the description of death from Paradise Lost, book 9. No more of talk where God or angel guessed, with man as with his friend familiar used, to sit indulgent with him, partake rural repast, permitting him at the while venial discourse unblamed. I now must change those notes to tragic foul distrust and breach, disloyal on the part of man, revolt and disobedience on the part of heaven now alienated, distance and distaste, anger and just rebuke and judgment given, that brought into this world and a world of woe, sin and her shadow death and misery, death's harbinger. So if you read these lines, you can find, obviously if you read book 9 of Paradise Lost, you can find the lines are used in a very crucial context when the situation is tensed, and you see the words are dignified, what Longinus said, the passion is great, and you can feel something that is more than the lines are more than beautiful, it's exalted. So a sense of, if you read the lines in its particular context, you can find that it would evoke a sense of awe or terror within you. So that's why these lines are sublime. So according to Burke, the great work of art is so inspiring because it is not merely beautiful but sublime. So the great works of art are generally sublime. So that's why these great works of art are able to inspire us. While the beauty of a work of art may inspire love or admiration, the sublimity of a work of art may inspire awe of or astonishment at its mystery and power. Okay, now let's move on to Immanuel Kant's concept of sublime and the beautiful. He described these things in his book Critique of Judgment, which was published in 1790. First of all, you need to understand Kant's concept of test, judgment of test. He described beauty in accordance to his concept of the judgment of test. According to Kant, finding something beautiful is more than merely liking it. So, if you perceive something beautiful, then you can find it something. It is something that is more than simply liking. This kind of liking is not dependent on your idiosyncratic tastes or on your moral opinion, but on the judgment of test. It would be judgment of test, not if test, sorry. So if you perceive something beautiful, it is not that you perceive this thing beautiful or this object or aspect or whatever is beautiful, because not only because not because that it is something morally right, or this is something, there are some motives behind it. You perceive something beautiful without any particular reason, simply because it would please you. This judgment is subjective in the sense that they are not about object but about the fact that the people receive pleasure from it. Now that's why he used the phrase judgment of taste, because what you can find beautiful, what you can find beautiful is not necessarily that everyone would find this beautiful. But again, that's the contradictory point that Kant wanted to say, that when you say something is beautiful, it is necessarily beautiful for everyone. Now that's the contradictory point, which I'll discuss about it. So there are a few points I need to re-emphasize. First of all, Kant said that when you find something beautiful, it's not merely liking, it's more than liking. Then it depends on the judgment of taste, how you perceive, what is your taste, how it depends on your own personal likings, your own personal choice. Still, he's saying that it is something that is universally true. So when you say something is beautiful, that is the condition that it is likely that most of the people would find this beautiful. It is universally true. Okay, and it is beautiful in the sense that it is just evoking pleasure within you. So let's look at the picture of these flowers once again and try to apprehend why we can call this beautiful in according to Kant's point of view. First of all, if I find these flowers beautiful, then these flowers are beautiful only because that I perceive this. It depends on my judgment of taste. I like this personally, and it's something more than liking. When I say that these flowers are beautiful, it's not only that, it is not that I am specifying that it is solely beautiful to me. When I am saying these flowers are beautiful, that means that most of the people or anyone who would perceive this would find this beautiful. Now, Obviously it depends on judgment of test, because I like these flowers. It is my personal choice. Then again, it's universally it's universally beautiful. Then I find this beautiful because I feel a kind of pleasure looking into it, looking into these flowers. So that's why, first of all, I find this beautiful. It depends on my judgment of taste. It is more than liking. Then these flowers evoke a sense of pleasure within me. So that's why I find these flowers beautiful. And again, when I say these flowers are beautiful, that means that I expect that anyone who would say this would find these flowers beautiful. Kant uh, categorized 4 moments of the judgment of beauty. These are moment of quality, moment of quantity, moment of relation, and moment of modality. I have already discussed this, but let's discuss whatever I said specifically. First of all, I should say that these names, these titles are misleading, because what Kant described in under the topic moment of quality is just that it is wholly disinterested pleasure. By moment of quality, Kant tried to define that something that is beautiful, if you perceive something beautiful, there is no reason or there is no a personal motive or any moral or any other issues relating to this. Wholly disinterested pleasure. Now, I'm going back to the picture of these flowers. I am saying these flowers are beautiful because it is provoking a sort of pleasure within me, and it's absolutely disinterested pleasure. What do I mean by disinterestedness? Because there is no particular moral reason that I find these flowers beautiful, or I don't have any personal interest, or I don't have any personal expectation, or you can say that personal reason, very personal reason that would benefit me in some way, that I am saying this flowers as beautiful. Okay, so I don't have any particular interest or any particular reason or any sort of moral concern behind uh, specifying these flowers as beautiful. Then moment of quantity, again I should say that the name is very misleading, because by this topic, that by this heading, the moment of quantity, Kant tried to define that uh, Kant tried to specify that the beautiful is an object of universal pleasure. Okay, so by moment of quantity, Kant tried to explain that the beautiful is an object of universal pleasure. What does it mean? I have already discussed this. When I say that these flowers are beautiful, okay, this is my personal choice, it depends on my taste, okay, it's fine. But when I say the line that these flowers are beautiful, I expect that anyone who would perceive these flowers would find this beautiful. So that is an object of universal pleasure. So I expect that anyone who would see these flowers would find this beautiful. So that's why it's universally true. It's universally applicable, not true, but applicable. Moment of relation. Something is purposelessly beautiful. Beauty generates its own purposiveness. Okay? Obviously, when I say that these flowers are beautiful, there is no purpose behind this. There is no purpose. There is no purpose that I can say that these flowers are beautiful. For example, I cannot say that these flowers are beautiful because these are perfect in shapes or well proportioned. No, it is beautiful and there is no particular purpose behind it. And if there is any purpose, these flowers would generate in itself. This flower would generate purpose in itself. Okay. Moment of modality, the conditions necessary for a judgment of test. Now, modality would mean the types in general, but Kant tried to mean the conditions are also necessary for a judgment of test. I can simply say that by this Kant wanted to talk about mood, that when you are not in a mood you cannot appreciate something beautiful, something as beautiful. It depends on your mood sometimes. Okay, there are various other explanations, but I find this quite convenient and pertinent, that there are certain conditions that when something beautiful, when you can find something beautiful and it would generate the feeling of pleasure within you. Okay, sublime according to Kant. According to Kant, sublime is beyond all comparison. Okay, it's beyond all comparison, something exalted, that is great. According to Kant, sublime is something great, either mathematically or dynamically. Now that is very much crucial thing, because he didn't specify, he tried to define sublime in this way, in accordance to its vastness or infinite quality, capacity or quality. According to Kant, something can, or some aspect can become sublime either mathematically or dynamically. It can become mathematically great or dynamically great. Obviously the concept of infinite would come. Mathematically great, by this I am saying that something that is limitless in magnitude, that is infinite. Okay, and dynamically, in terms of that, I am referring to its limitless power that goes beyond my imagination. Okay, take simply the example of nature, then you can apprehend what sublime is. Actually, Kant tried to exemplify nature in his description of sublime. Okay, if you think of nature, it's vast, it's great, it's beyond our imagination. That is mathematically sublime also, because that is infinite. And nature is also dynamically sublime, because we cannot apprehend its power. It's again beyond our imagination. So the term sublime is used to designate natural objects, okay, that inspire a kind of awe, terror. Okay, so Kant is also saying that if you perceive something beautiful, you can find that it would generate a sense of awe or terror within you. But the fact is that you would not be terrified of it. Okay, it would generate a sense of awe, but you are not, or the perceiver would not become terrified or afraid of it. Okay, would not feel the danger, but the sense of awe, terror, the astonishment. So I have already described what Kant tried to mean by mathematically sublime and dynamically sublime. So I don't want to explain it once again. So these are the references I have used. So thank you.